What's good, Regis recipients? How are y'all doing today? Welcome to another episode of Regis Reflections. You already know each and every episode we have a different athlete on the podcast. And this week we have Miss Ellie. Say what's up to the people, Ellie.
Hi.
uh, first question before we jump right in. How is your mental health on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being the greatest and 1 being the lowest. What is it right now?
I'd say probably like a solid 8. Like I
8?
could work on some things, but like we're up there. We're good.
Okay.
Chilling.
That's good.
Yeah.
How you liking the weather in South Bend so far?
It's good. I mean, it's okay. The point that it's been like blue out in the sky for the past like month has been awesome. And
Mhm.
like the snow the past 2 days, I'm chilling with. I'm like, okay.
Okay. Are
It's
you
been
are you a fan of the snow or are you against the snow?
I like the snow for the most part, but it like depends. Like if I gotta move my car, not great, but it's like, okay, if we're gonna have like a snowball fight, I'm into it. So yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Depends. Yeah.
Depends. Okay. So, Regis recipients, Ellie here is a member of the Notre Dame women's lacrosse team. So, Ellie, do you play a specific position on the lacrosse team?
Yes, I play defense.
Defense. Oh, defense
Mhm.
first. Defense wins championship. So you're crucial. Crucial. I like that. Okay. Okay. So where are you originally from, Ellie?
Yeah, so I'm originally from like Menlo Park, California.
Mhm.
So it's like 45 minutes south of San Francisco. Yeah.
Ah, so is it like more in the mountain area or more desert area or kind of a mixture? What is the area kind of like?
Yeah, so it's kind of more so like it's pretty like urban for the most part. And then like environment wise, it's like a little it's more mountainous, but not like because there's normally not like a lot of like rainfall.
Mhm.
The like mountains are kind of like brown, deserty sometimes, but nothing like deep like Southern California, like out in the skirts of like middle of nowhere. So like there's some it's nice. Think of like upstate New York, but like a little less trees and a
Uh,
little less green. That, I don't know. That's kind of like niche, but yeah.
okay. Would you live there for the rest of your life or would you build a family out there?
I think so. I think like later down the line,
Mhm.
but maybe not like right out of like yeah, kind of what you said, like building a family. I definitely consider it.
Okay. I respect
Yeah.
that. Call. So, whom or what kind of got you to start playing lacrosse or even other sports? And how did you find that love for lacrosse?
Yeah, so I am one of 5 kids, so I'm, like, right in the middle. I have 2 older sisters, and
Mhm.
then I have twin siblings, a boy and a girl that are younger than me, and so I used to live in Connecticut before I lived in California, like now,
Mhm.
and that's, like, where kinda, like, I started playing lacrosse. My older sisters both played, because my dad was like, "You should play sports," and so they did, and I just wanted to be just like them because I was, like, a little girl and, like, they were so cool and, like, I mean, they're still pretty cool, obviously. But yeah, that's kinda what got me into lacrosse, and then yeah, I think that answers your question. What was the second part?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you find the love for lacrosse? Or what was that certain feeling like, yes, I love this sport instead of just, following your sister's footsteps?
Yeah. I think I kind of realized, like, I actually loved the sport when, like it was actually so when I started playing, it was, like, 8, and then we moved to California, like, 3 years later,
Mhm.
and it was kinda out there when I realized I just, like, loved it because I would go out and do, like we call it, like, wall ball, where it's, like, you're literally, like, throwing like, as if, like, you're playing soccer, like, with yourself against the wall, same thing with lacrosse, um, and I just would do that, like, every day after school, and I, like, just really fell in love with it. It, like, kinda was my own, like, peace of mind, and,
Mhm.
like, if I got, like, in a fight with my sibling, I'd, like, go out and, like, just, like, shoot a bunch of lacrosse balls because it was, like, really, like, nice and fun. So, it's kinda, like, more so escape for me, and that's when I, like, fell in love with it.
Mhm. So, in your family, is your family a big sports family? Like, does everyone in your family play sports?
We are a pretty big sports family. Both of my sisters ended up playing collegiately, and then my brother, now he's in, school too, playing lacrosse.
Mhm.
Um, and then my younger sister, she's not playing lacrosse, but she's, like, also played sports her whole entire life.
Wow. So, growing up, was the household very competitive in regards to sports or even specifically lacrosse? Were there like any like 2v2s or anything like that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Even my dad would get in them. Me and my dad would, like, 1v1 sometimes if, like, because by the time my older sister's, like, couple like 6 plus years older than me, so, like, by the time I was, like, really playing competitively, they weren't in the house as much, but, like, if my younger brother had to go play football, my dad would come outside with me, and that was kind of funny. Like just 1v1ing him because it's like he's like at least like 50 at this point, and he's like, I don't know if I should be moving this much. So it was awesome, yeah. So still really competitive.
Okay, that'd be that. So when you were playing lacrosse in middle school and high school, how was the competition level? How was that? Were you playing club at all, or were you playing just for your school?
Yeah, great question, especially in California because it's like a not traditional area of lacrosse, which is like pretty weird to say. But yeah, lacrosse is obviously pretty central in like northern, northeast area. So I played when I like first started playing lacrosse, there was like just a local youth program, and I literally did that, and that was it. And then like literally after my first year, I did the local youth, and then I did like a year-round club thing. That like was a travel club. And that was called CT Grizzlies. And I played for that for like 2 years.
Mhm.
And then we moved. And then I played for a club team called Tenacity. And there's Tenacity, there's like Steps California. There's a couple like different Northern California club lacrosse teams.
Okay.
Um, and so once a week. And then during the summertime, you'll be in like 3 or 4 tournaments where you travel like to the East Coast or like Florida or Texas sometimes, which is like really cool, but like super time consuming during the summer. But it's like a great, like some of my friends would like bring their whole families out for tournaments and then like just rent a house on the East Coast for the summer. And it was like really cool. So I did that up until high school, and then in high school, I did the travel, and then I also played for our high school lacrosse team, which was like really fun. So yeah.
Oh wow! So you getting it all in. I respect that. Okay, traveling, everything. So when you were playing club, for your various programs, how was it just the competitiveness and just the travel aspect? How was it overall? And did you feel like you were getting better with your skill set in lacrosse?
Definitely. I mean, I think with the setup in California, kind of us like because it was like so sparse. So the reason why we had like practice like once a week rather than like my friends like that I go to college with now, like they had like club practices like multiple times a week. Um, we can only have it once because I was like had to drive an hour to practice, and then someone else in like the other direction also had to drive an hour from practice. So it's like maybe we were 2 hours apart, but like we would meet in the middle. And that's just because it's like a non-traditional area,
Mhm.
like the really good competitive like kids are just like a little bit more dispersed. Also, California's huge. So like do take that into account. So like it really incentivized like having to work on your own time. So like in 8th grade and 9th grade, like I was like running 300s on my own, like all the time. And or not all the time. I really should have been running it more than I probably was, but like that's how you had to keep up, and you had to do wall ball, and like you had a couple people in your area that were like kind of local. It was like me and like 2 other girls that are like older than me.
Mhm.
That like we would just like do small group stuff together during the week. And then during those club practices, it was great because you got to play with people that like one you don't normally play with. And like we would work on like some individual things, but it was normally like a lot of bigger group play, like how to handle a man up or man down situation, which I think is like really, really critical to like building that like IQ, that sports IQ.
Mhm.
Um, so it definitely like the competitive edge is like pretty high. How do I explain it? It's like the competitive edge is high and the intensity is high when it needs to be, but you can still have like fun. And I
Mhm.
think like, and so like no one really ever got burnt out because of it. Like because we like had a good balance of like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to practice like once a week anyway. And I get to play with my best friends for like 2 hours, and then I get to go home and like do my homework, and like that's great. And that like worked really well. So I thought it was like a really good balance for like kids who like want to be intense and like want to go collegiate.
Mhm.
Like with their sport. I thought it was like great. But yeah, it was just a little bit like compared to my friends on the East Coast, it was just harder to find that competition.
So were you able to get that competition during your early years, or did you have to wait until your collegiate years to get that true competition that you were seeking for?
I mean, I definitely had it when I was younger, but I always like wanted to push myself to like see how far I could go. And like it also kind of helped too that my like sisters played collegiately in the sense of like I did have hope for like how far it can go. If that makes sense. I was like, okay, like I can be from California and like there's definitely a stigma like, oh, you're from like west of the Mississippi is what they call it. And like you might not like go pro or like not pro, but like you might not go like collegiate or like maybe the lacrosse like isn't just as good. And I kind of was like, screw that. Like I just want to like go play college lacrosse and I want to go win a national championship. And I like always had that desire. Because my sisters had done it, but also because I like fell in love with the sport and spent so much time doing it. I was like, yeah, like I want to play lacrosse in college. And like it was honestly just the desire to win a national championship because I would sit every like Memorial Day weekend in the like spring summertime and like watch these like awesome teams win national championships. And I was like, damn, like I want to be one of those girls. That's what I want. Um and so like I liked the competitive spirit I had, but I knew I could get more if
Mhm.
I went collegiate.
Mm. I get it. So like kind of pushing yourself more because you know that you can do better and that you want to do better.
Yeah, it was kind of like I didn't like I knew there wasn't a ceiling to like the potential of like where I could go and also what I could get from where I went, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, so building off that, you kind of answered the question, but was there maybe a certain moment or just a time where you were like you wanted to take lacrosse to the next level, to the collegiate level? Was that because of your sisters, or was that like how you said Memorial Day, just watching people win national championships? Was there a moment where you like, I want to go D1 with this, I want to take it to the next level?
Um, I think it kind of just like grew over time. I wouldn't say it was like one specific moment necessarily because okay, so like for example, one of my sisters, she's like literally 10 years older than me. So when I was 8, she was in college. And so I would like go to her games on the weekend and like watch them all play. And I was like, what? Like, I just want to be like these girls. It kind of came back to like why I first started lacrosse. So it was kind of like once I actually, I think, like also too, like I think like mental capacity of like someone that's like 6 to 8
Mhm,
is like probably kind of different in the sense of like I actually like was forming like pretty genuine memories when I was 8 years old.
mhm,
And so like in regards to forming who I am as a person and like being able to see someone that like I automatically looked up to, like go and like play collegiately and like be around like a community of girls that like really cared about each other and like actually wanted each other to grow and like achieve the same goals, I thought was like really special because I also had gone to like an all girls school at the time that like maybe that wasn't the sense of community I kind of felt. And so I always like kind of knew that like I would have that sense of community at the collegiate level, depending on the school I went to.
mhm.
Um, but also like it was kind of yeah, sorry, it's kind of like a mixture of like I saw people playing it, so I wanted to do it, and so it kind of just like grew over time.
Okay. So when you finish kind of your high school career and you kind of had that goal in mindset, I want to take it to the next level. What was the reasoning for you choosing to attend University of Notre Dame and continue not only your education but your lacrosse career?
Yeah, totally. So I kind of decided I wanted to go to the University of Notre Dame when I went to on top of like going to the tournaments that I like went to for travel like club lacrosse. I also met like the head coach here, Chris Halfpenny, who's my coach now,
Mhm,
at these like prospect camps. And these prospect camps were like they're awesome. I love them. They're called like the Cross Masters for like all those listening who like actively are trying to play lacrosse at the collegiate level. And they take like they take like 10 coaches from like D3 to like D1. So that's also something that I like really liked about it was like you had different divisions
mhm,
like present at these camps. And it was like that and it was only like 75 kids. It was like a really small camp. And normally it's like 200 kids, so it's like you basically get coached by the actual collegiate coaches and can learn from them, which is like really great. And so I had met like I call her Chris, so I'm gonna refer to her that way. So I met Chris at one of those tournaments and I was like, wow, like she's really cool. Like I really like how she coaches. I like her energy. Like
mhm,
I'm really pulled by that. And I really resonated with it too. That was like something that was big for me. Like, you know, like, could I see myself working with this person? And like, that was awesome. And then I went back home and I was talking to my dad about it. And I was like, you know, like, I really liked her. Like, I really thought she was cool. And he was like, Notre Dame's like a great school. You should like absolutely look into that. And that, like, I really care about like my family's opinion. And so
Sure.
and so I like, looked into it and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's like, it's like near Chicago. It's like 2 hours. I don't know. I was like, okay, it's in the Midwest. I haven't lived like outside of like the East Coast and West Coast. Like I've never been to the Midwest before and I've never spent a lot of time there. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then I also liked like kind of like the culture that like comes off from Notre Dame in the sense of like really big sports, because both of my sisters, they like went to great like schools with like really good academic standards, but like the way the athletes were treated were kind of like in the sense of the community, like people in classrooms that they were like classmates with would kind of look down on them and be a little bit more like degrading in the sense of like, oh, you're an athlete, you're not smart, which is obviously not the case. Like they had to get into those collegiate, like they had to get into those schools somehow. And so I kind of liked that like here that wasn't the case. And I like knew that from like kind of interviews I had seen. And then also I had come to camp here. And we have a camp like every July. And I met the girls, and that's when I was like, oh my God, mom and dad, like I have to go to school here. Like I'm obsessed. Like this is the place for me. Like this is where I'm gonna like grow into the person I want to be in the next 5 years, like 100%. Like this is where I want to go. And it was like I met a lot of the girls on the team, and I just thought they were so cool. And like I'm now friends with them, which is awesome. And like I kind of like am like sometimes when I talk about it and actually reflect on it, I'm like in awe because I'm like, wow, like I had such a big goal and now I'm here and doing it. But yeah, I had like met them and I had a great time at that summer camp, and I like really resonated with like also some of the recruits too, who like I ended up playing with now. And it was just like awesome. I had everything I wanted. Like it was really high academically. Like I loved that I could like get a great degree and like also whatever I like wanted. Like that was really big for me too, because I didn't know what I wanted to study. So I was like, okay, like I want like a good business school. I want like a pretty like honorable like STEM branch too, like in regards to like sciences and like like also like English. Like I wanted kind of like the whole picture, like the whole person. And I really felt like Notre Dame, the way I was like learned more about it, really show that like, okay, we care about you like like most importantly academically, we care about you then also as the person, and then we also care about you like obviously like as the athlete. And so I really just like liked that holistic approach. And so then I was like, I need to go to Notre Dame, and then I started like investing way more in the recruiting process with them.
Dang, like Notre Dame was the spot for you, just calling your name. Everything about it was calling your name, and now you're here. That guy is good. That's good. So, how was the transition from you from East Coast to West Coast, California, to now in the Midwest? How was the transition for you, especially just on a mental health level, just academically, but just athletically, and continuing your career at Notre Dame? How was that transition for you personally?
Yeah, definitely interesting, because where I live in California, it was like pretty like I like no like when I say like no one really played lacrosse, like we had people like on the team, like on the varsity team, who had like maybe 2 years of experience and were like on the varsity team. If you had said that on like out on the East Coast, they'd be like, what the heck? So I was definitely like a big fish in a tiny pond in high school, which was kind of interesting. And then coming here, it was definitely like tiny fish, tiny pond, or big pond. So it was definitely hard first transitioning in, only because like I had come from a place where it was like I was the best of the best, and now I'm surrounded by people who are also like really freaking good. And that was kind of like not shell shocking because I knew that was going to happen, but I kind of don't know how else you're supposed to prepare for it other than just be like accepting of the facts that it's going to be hard, and like you just have to go day by day. So I like came in and I was definitely not like very good compared to the rest of my teammates. Like it was kind of pretty low on the depth chart. And then like academically, I felt pretty good. I actually felt like good academically for the most part. It was definitely 100% challenging at times. Like I think my first like micro class, I got like a C on every test, and that was like a first time experience for me. So that, which I'm pretty sure, from my understanding, is the most pace for most of the students here. So that was kind of like, oh, okay. But there were some classes I felt like really good in. Like I really liked my coding class, and that was really special for me. And so like I like took my time to do that. And I also really love that when you do come to school here and you are, at least for our lacrosse program, I can speak on it, is that when you come in, like you are so, like the team is so accepting of you. Whether you like are low on the depth chart, or maybe you're super smart, or maybe you're not like doing so well in school. Either way, like we love you for who you are, and you're here for a reason, and we know that, and you know that. And so it's kind of like digging into the fact that like our coach could have picked anyone in the country, but she didn't. She picked you.
Mhm.
And like it kind of comes down to, at least like now looking back at it, in the moment I wasn't thinking this way, but like kind of comes back to like God's plan in a sense. Like there's a reason you're here. And like anytime I felt like I wasn't like really worthy of being at Notre Dame, I was like, no, like I have a purpose for being here. Like I
Exactly.
know who I am. Like I'm a really good natural leader. Like I'm very communicative. I'm super passionate. Like, and so kind of like it was kind of like a who am I? And it's like I know who I am. And that kind of like helped my mentality, like moving forward, at least transitioning um from like high school to college. But
Mhm.
and then I also leaned on like my support system. I like called my family when I could. And I like leaned on my friends here that I had like just made, like our class. Like I'm so lucky because our class is so, it's 8 of us total, including myself, and
Mhm.
we're all, like, pretty different personalities, but we all kinda click too at the same time, like, I in the sense of, like, we get each other, so it works really well. And, like, if someone's having a bad day, it's like, "Okay, let's go get ice cream." Like, "Let's all go hang out," and, like, just like, "Let's think about something else from what you're, like, maybe struggling or going through." So, I was just, like, really fortunate, and, like, I feel blessed to say that, like, when I did come in and I was struggling, like, I had a great support system already in place. So,
Mm. What,
that
during that support system, did you ever talk to your sister since they played at the collegiate level? Was that part of your support system during those times?
Yeah, 100%. It's still now. Like I literally had a phone call with my like older sister who, by the way, hasn't played college lacrosse in like 8 years. Like she's pretty out of like the circuit, but like me and her had like a 1 hour phone call last like 2 nights ago.
Mhm.
It was awesome. And like I still rely on like my teammates and stuff and my family. It's more so like, okay, what advice do I need right now? And
Mhm.
who do I go for those things? So
So now you're a junior here at the University of Notre Dame, and you've been on the lacrosse team for 3 years. During those 3 years, has there ever been a certain practice, game, or moment where it just kind of wasn't you mentally? You were kind of going through it mentally, and if so, like how were you kind of able to get through that and push through the storm?
yeah, definitely. I mean, I think every day, I mean, something I've been trying to work through right now is like I really started leaning into my faith. I think the more time I've been here, and that was something I wanted to do ever since I like verbally committed here. I was like, I want to go to Notre Dame for all of like the academic and like athletic reasons and like person growing reasons as well, like the community wise. But I also really wanted to grow in faith.
Mhm.
And I've really grown in my faith a lot this year. And something that I kind of saw, my dad sent it to me the other day. This is like my support system kind of working in. He sent me a video of Steve Young, who I'm from San Francisco. I love the 49ers.
Mhm.
They obviously didn't have a great season, and I'm okay with that. And I'm happy I'm happy Philly won. I'm like,
Chiefs lost, yeah. That.
yeah, that was really hard to get off my chest. But anyway, it's this video of Steve Young, who's a 49ers quarterback and played under Joe Montana. And then he's talking about how they like lost an awful game against like the Raiders or something. And in it, he says like he took like a weekend off and like went down south for like a vacation. And he like met this guy who I guess is really into like building people's growth and platforms. And he basically told like Steve, he was like, you have the best platform to grow. Like you have a great MVP ahead of you. You have a great program. You have a great coach that's like ahead of his time. Like you have everything you need to grow and be the person you're supposed to be. And I kind of heard that. And Steve like was talking more about that and how he came back and then was like MVP the next year. And like it kind of really resonated with me where I was like, I have everything, like I have everything I need to like grow and be
Mm,
successful as a person. So like whether that's in practice or during certain games, because it's so like I'm always battling back and forth between like, okay, make a mistake, okay, reset, next play, let's keep going.
mhm,
And so that's why it's kind of like there's not like one specific time. Like there's a bunch, but it's more so just the accumulation of it like every day of like, okay, like reset, okay, like next play opportunity, it's a new opportunity. And I just tell myself that like in each play. I'm like, okay, like we have the ball coming down to us like on the defensive end.
mhm.
Okay, opportunity for us to like grow and be better and like just and like glorify God. And so that's kind of been like my mindset. Um I used to say like in high school and in my first 2 years, like I would wiggle my toes in my shoes and be like, "Where are your toes?" And I would say like, "Oh, I'm on like the 30-yard line on the lacrosse field in like the Loftus like sports center. My friend is taking like my friend Maeve Dwyer's taking the draw right now and I'm going to be there her outlet when she gets the ball and if she doesn't get the ball, then I'm going to mark up and I'm not going to let them score." And that's like kind of just like what I would have to tell myself. And I still tell myself like every day. Because every day is a new challenge and a new battle. And so there's definitely been like harder practices or harder games. And like, especially during my freshman year, there was definitely hard practices in the spring.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that's kind of like what I tell myself to get through those moments that are like really, really hard.
That's true. That's true. God's always gonna show up no matter what. He's gonna teach you so many things.
Mhm.
I respect. So,
Yeah.
wait, what is your current major here at the University of Notre Dame?
My current major.
Mhm.
Um, loaded gun question only because I'm a double major with business analytics and then I also am at FTT studying film and then I have a minor in sports media and cultures. So it sounds like a lot,
I know.
but you know, like it's actually not that
No,
much.
like, I'm
Credits
FTT
wise.
and I'm FTT and SMAC too, so I understand. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but to
Yeah.
to
That's
the outside
awesome.
people, it may seem like a lot. They may just be like, "You have 3 things going," like,
It's like, no, 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 trust.
you got your
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, with
Yeah.
your major, with your double major and even your minor, you were at an academic rigorous school. You and I both know that. They demand a lot day in and day out. But on top of that, for you personally, you're a Division 1 athlete. So how do you balance both school and academics? School, academics, and athletics.
Yeah, totally. For me, I have this assignment tracker that I try and use. It's on like it's literally on Google platforms and it's like you just like download it and I try and put that in. Um, but I also think like it's pretty mental because at the end of the day, like I don't always go to my assignment tracker and I'm not always checking my email, but like, you know, you need to be on top of those things.
Mhm,
Um, and so part of the reason of like or how I kind of balance is like focusing like where my mental time is. So like when I'm in lacrosse, I tell myself like, okay, you're doing lacrosse, you don't get to think about school right now. Like now you get to play. Like you get to play. Like it's recess right now. It's fun. It's good. Everything's okay. Like let's go. And then during school, I'm like, okay, yes. Like I get to lock down and focus on like what I want to do after college and stuff like that. So that's like really exciting. Um, so it's kind of like I tell like mentally when I'm doing certain things, I tell myself what to do.
mhm,
Um, and then in regards to like my actual academic load and everything, um, we have a academic like sports advisor. Um and so like he or it's called like a student athlete advisor and his name's Chad.
mhm,
And Chad kind of like helps me like figure out like my schedule, but also like helps me with like resources, like if I need a tutor or anything of that sort. Like he helps set that up, which is like really great. Um, so like he's a huge help. Like if I didn't have him, I don't really know what I would do. At least within my first 2 years, like freshman year, I had no clue what I was doing. He was a great guide. Now it's like I kind of know what I need and when I
mhm,
need it. So it's like I kind of know how it goes a little bit better. But yeah, so I use that Google Sheet assignment tracker for most of the time. I also use like Google Calendar a lot. I really relied on that.
I just using that too.
And then I also do like in high school, I was someone where it's like I could do my harder classes in the spring because if I had practice, I had to then focus in really hard on my school because I knew like that was my only time for it. now it's like the exact opposite. I have to do my harder classes in the fall because in the spring all I really want to do is play lacrosse. So like obviously I don't, and I like am do a pretty good job like balancing my academics, or at least I try to.
Mm.
Um, especially when we're on like away trips. Like I do my homework on the flight and you download your like instead of like doing your Google Sheet like on the actual Safari website, I like download it and do it then. So like logistically, you'll always find a way to get it done. But yeah, those are the different strategies I use to try and balance it all.
Y'all folks got to tap in. Listen to her now. She dropping some gems now. Dropping the gems. So with being a Division I athlete, you kind of touched on this a little bit. You're gonna be traveling. You're gonna travel to other states, other cities, play other schools. But on top of that, you still have to continue to do your work. And most people think when you're traveling, it's like, oh, we outside, we in the city, it's fun, everything that. But they don't really know it's a visitor sometimes. Like you still have to do work. So could you just touch a little bit on just the traveling aspect from your experience at Notre Dame and doing work on the road too, if you do any?
Yeah, totally. So like we played Northwestern last week on Friday on February 7th.
Mm,
And I had to do I want to go to like sports media
mm.
after college, like sports television broadcasting. Not necessarily on camera, but that's just like the avenue I want to go down. And I had to fill out like basically a scout report for like what a broadcaster would use for a game.
Mhm,
Um, and so I was like doing that on the bus ride up and like a bunch of other girls too. And sometimes maybe it depends on the person and like what they need. Maybe I like if I were someone different where it's like, okay, like I need to watch film from yesterday's practice. Maybe it's like I want to watch that with my coach on the bus. So it's like you'll do that then. So then you'll do like the like I would have done my homework assignment the night before. So
mhm,
it kind of depends on the person and everyone figures out their own thing. But we definitely as like a team do a pretty good job of like balancing it and people working on the road. People also take some of the same classes sometimes, so it's like great. Like one of my friends or two of my friends took like business law um in the spring last year, and it's like super memorization, like conceptual stuff, and they studied together on the flights. So that also like definitely helps when you at least like have one friend, or maybe they're not in the same exact class, but it's like we're both taking the same thing at the same time.
mm,
That can definitely help just like in regards to studying and
mm.
keep like literally having someone be like an accountability partner.
That's right. You gotta lock in together, and it's together.
Mhm.
So you have one more year left here at the University of Notre Dame. You're still doing lacrosse, and I know you touched on it a little bit, but what does the future look like for you once you leave Notre Dame? I know you said sports media, FTT major to FTT major. So I might because I want to be on television as well, ESPN. So do you want to follow in those footsteps? Do you want to go on that route of television? Do you want to do production? What does the future hold for you once you graduate?
Yeah, so I mean, right now I do not currently have a job
Mhm,
for post grad, but I'm finding an internship right now. And so for those who are listening, um, most media jobs, whether that's like you want to go into sports production or you just want to go into television straight entertainment, like half hour comedy type of beat, um, or like a late night show. Most of those applications are rolling between like late November to like the end of February. So I've applied to a couple of those and are kind of just waiting to hear back from different companies and stuff. But I personally, um, I really like production.
mhm,
I think it's really cool. I think it's really fast paced and I really like sports, like live production. I think that's like where I would love to go down. But I'm not like close minded to like maybe going to like an agency or working like on more long form content too. So I'm pretty open to like what I want to do post grad.
mhm.
But I do know I wanted to be in like sports media, just in general. So
Hey, sports media, talk to him, talk to him. We building, we
yeah.
building it, building it. So, one final question, Ellie, before we wrap things up. It's been a great episode too, by the way. Been a great episode. So, what advice would you give to our listeners and viewers on their mental health journey?
Yeah, definitely. I guess on your mental health journey, one, everyone's is always evolving and changing. Um, and there's always resources out there, which I think is like most important. Um, on our team, I'm an ambassador for it's called Morgan's Message.
Mhm,
And I don't think I could get off like this call without like kind of talking about it. And it's an organization that was formed after a Duke women's lacrosse player named Morgan Sheets sadly took her own life in 2019. And the foundation like helps provide resources and like peer-to-peer programs for student athletes specifically to kind of like work through any mental health struggles.
Mhm.
Um, and so I would say like rely on the people around you. Like that's 100% how I've gone through this. And I know that's how other people get through. And like you're never alone. Like no one is ever alone. Like there's always someone out there that's either going through something that's similar as you or like is there to be like your cheerleader. So 100% rely on the people around you. Like they do love you even if you like do feel alone. Like I really 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 am like a strong believer in that.
Mhm.
And I also like lean in on my faith. Like sometimes you might need to believe in a higher power and that doesn't have to be God and you don't have to be faithful ever and that's okay. Um and but that's something that's helped me get through and so I always like to say that too. But yeah, use the people around you. There's a reason why they're there.
Amen, amen. Hey,
Yeah.
come on now, come on now. These y'all heard it from Miss Ellie right here. Ellie, thank you again for taking the time out of your day to come and talk to us, drop your story, give your advice, and really just open up. We really appreciate you. We want to wish you the best of luck this weekend with your game. Go kill it. Straight BTA. Is there any last words, Ellie?
Oh, thank you so much. This is awesome.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you. And Regis recipients, remember, it's okay if you're not okay. Let's see, boy JD, and I'm out.